training partners. Here come your training partners. So smart, so strong, so funny. Let's go with your training partners.
Team, welcome to Training Partners, where two fitness professionals bring you strong takes held loosely. I'm Wheezy Shoemaker, joined as always by Justin McClintock. And today we have a very, very special guest. Stormy Weather, CEO of Show Your Work Nutrition, is going to be here giving us a lot of information and hopefully a few laughs and smiles related to peptides.
I feel more pressure around the laughs than I do around the information.
I was going to
I've
say.
also never been called a CEO before, so thank you for that.
CEO. You know, to be fair, it's really easy to make me laugh. Like, you could probably just say like the word pudding.
Pudding.
I'm like actually tearing up. That's all right.
You didn't say I only had to make you laugh. This is a different bar.
Well,
I feel like we peaked. I feel like we shut it down.
It's just for us. That's it. That's it.
There we go. All right, cool. Pudding's probably a peptide, right?
Do you want to take just like a moment, and if you feel really stressed out about this and it doesn't go well, we can certainly edit it out, right, Justin? We can do anything in post.
We can. It's magic.
It's magic. We know that, as previously demonstrated. To tell us just a little bit about who you are, where you are, what you do, and then we'll get into the meat of today's episode. Does that sound fair?
Yeah, no, of course. So I've had kind of a meandering path to get where I am today. I am a physician assistant, or I guess physician associate is the new profession title. I was in clinic for 10 years full time, and then during the pandemic made a transition to nutrition coaching. Was kind of half and half for a while, then took the leap and went full time with nutrition coaching. I've been doing that now for the last 5-ish years almost, which blows my mind. I would not consider myself an expert on peptides, but I have enough information to share that I hope to be useful. And as always, I will be transparent about anything I don't know, but this should be a good time.
I love it. Can I offer up something?
Please.
So you are my favorite person to refer to when it comes to nutrition coaching, because you approach it from such an interesting angle because of your clinical background, right? Like you have just a tremendous amount of knowledge related to nutrition itself, and also the application when it comes to like, okay, well, how does this layer into a complex condition, right? What if somebody is hypermobile? What if somebody has POTS? What if somebody can only train at this time of day? What if somebody is having some digestive upset and they don't really know why, and their PCP hasn't been able to support them? Like, I love connecting you with people that have felt underserved by either nutrition or healthcare or both, because you have such an interesting overlapping skill set that allows you to meet people who are kind of stuck in between those two things.
Thank you so much for that. That's one of the nicest things anybody's ever said.
Oh, wow.
Actually, I think I underestimate myself sometimes in that regard, but I would agree with everything you just said. I think it's hard to turn off the clinical skill set once you have it. And I do think that's something that I bring to the table. I work with somebody for a while and the spidey sense starts to go, has anyone checked your thyroid? Has anyone tried you on this medicine instead of that one? And of course, there's always a threading the needle between can't practice medicine across state lines and I am not your doctor, right, and this is not medical advice and all of that stuff. But I appreciate the people you send to me. Actually, like you've sent a few who I've really connected well with and who are a lot of fun because they really are an interconnection of like some medical stuff and some nutritional stuff. And that's the kind of puzzle that I most enjoy working with. So as much as you enjoy referring to me, I enjoy receiving your referrals. So thank you.
I've often thought, I refer to people to Stormy all the time, and I will often lead consults, not talking about Stormy, but if I'm talking to a prospective client and they ask about nutrition, my usual spiel is like, I do some light nutrition stuff. I can do the basics pretty well. But if things get complicated, I'm going to refer out. And Stormy is usually the first call, in the same way that Wheezy, you and I are often other coaches' first call when something happens with pain, injury, there's too many confounding factors, and the NASM isn't covering it anymore. I actually need someone who's got a couple more layers of tools in their toolbox, please.
Yeah. Well, and likewise, I have both of y'all on my short list. And the people will ask sometimes, well, do you also write programming? Can you also do training? I'm like, I'm happy to like weigh in on what you're already doing if you feel like it's working for you. But if you end up needing some more specialized help, especially if they've already told me, oh, I have this shoulder, or oh, I have this, oh, I'm postpartum, I have this particular condition, then I'm immediately like, I know some people who could help a whole lot better than I can help. Yeah. So y'all's names get thrown around a lot too.
Well, thank you for that. We're glad that it's a two-way street, and we're grateful that you agreed to be on the podcast with us today, because the point of today, hopefully, is to bring some clarity to the murky world of peptides.
It's a tall order.
Murky.
Let's do it.
Yeah. Should we start by setting groundwork for like what are peptides? Because I think, and this is mostly what we're going to be talking about in the past, I feel like it's been really short. I feel like it's just been the past like 18, 24 months. There's been this huge uptick of people hawking peptides in the fitness wellness space. And they just say peptides, but they're usually talking about kind of a specific niche of often gray market stuff. But the word peptides has a meaning. We're full of them already.
Yeah.
Should we start there?
Sure. Yeah. So, I mean, I know one of you got the question, can you explain peptides to me like I'm 5? Peptides are just tiny little protein fragments. That's all that they are. Like if anybody's familiar with ECAAs or amino acids, they're not as tiny as a single amino acid, but they're also not a full-on protein with a 3D structure. They're just like a little scrap of protein that's somewhere in between the two. And their function is usually kind of like a messenger molecule. So they kind of go up to a cell and knock on the door and tell the cell what to do. So like a really well-known peptide is insulin, and insulin kind of goes up to a cell and says, hey, cell, open up. I need you to take some glucose. And so then the cell's like, oh, hi, and opens the door and the glucose goes in. So that's kind of, in terms of structure and function, that's kind of the most basic explanation of a peptide. But also, it's a little funny that we use this term peptide to describe, I think when people use that word now, they're using it to describe these gray market peptides for the most part. But the word peptides is just like saying chemicals or saying medicines, or it's such a broad term that it really, like, when somebody asks you, what do you think about peptides? I'm like, I think they're, I think my whey protein that I drink every day is a whole collection of peptides. I got no problem with them.
As is common, like the answer to what do you think about peptides is like, I have 6 other questions.
Which
like
one?
I can't.
Yeah. Without being a dick.
Yeah.
Well, are you like, tell me what do you want to know? Like,
yeah. Well, and I think too, part of why it's interesting how we got to this point with peptides being this, I don't want to say accepted thing, but something that's like okay to talk about. Whereas they came in on the coattails of like, certainly on the coattails of GLP-1s, but also I feel like hormone therapy and even PEDs, like all of this stuff is really kind of closely interconnected in terms of the dialogue in the fitness space. And so I don't know, I think it's interesting how they kind of sneaked in the way that they did, and how we're discussing them now as if this is a perfectly normal thing to be injecting these substances into your body that are not in any way regulated or approved or safe.
It's completely fascinating because they're overwhelmingly, the stuff we're talking about is unregulated, has not been approved for anything, is often sold on the places you can get it with giant for research only stickers on it, which kind of means you're not supposed to inject it in yourself, but everyone knows that's what you're doing it. And I feel like one of the, even 5 to 10 years ago, injecting yourself was kind of a line in the sand that a lot of people wouldn't cross, including like PEDs and things like that. Well, I'll take some stuff, but I'm not going to inject myself. That's too far. And I do think that acceptance of more hormone therapy, and certainly the prevalence of GLP-1s, which there are some orals, but it's overwhelmingly injectable, and that's fine. I think the peptides are kind of hiding under the umbrella of that. When if it was a pill or a powder claiming to do these things, I feel like more people would write it off as being nonsense. But it feels a little more sciencey because you're injecting it. And now you hear a lot more about people injecting themselves daily, weekly, monthly, whatever it is. So that has some of the stink has been taken off injecting yourself on a regular basis.
Mhm.
So the crazy monkey powder 458 or whatever it is, it's almost like it's stealing credibility by use of the needle in some way.
Yes. And like that line in the sand, like it does feel different to be injecting something as opposed to swallowing something. And one of the features of that is that the placebo effect is so much higher with something you are injecting because it feels big, like they've studied that, like between swallowing an agent versus injecting one, people perceive a much larger placebo effect. And to be clear, we don't have a problem with placebo effect unto itself, because if we can help somebody to feel better without actually putting them at risk or endangering them, yes, bring it on. Absolutely. But I think that's an important piece, even if we're looking at things like testosterone, let alone like peptides, like with the injectable versus oral line does have an impact on how somebody perceives what they're doing.
I wonder, and I imagine that the answer to this is probably like a very, very big, it depends. But imagine somebody slides into your DMs or on a check-in call says, hey, I'm considering adding a peptide stack to my routine. What are your thoughts on that? I imagine you have several questions.
Many.
I would love to know what those questions are so that somebody can maybe play their own coach if they don't have access to have one, which, let me just say a caveat that if you're considering investing a ton of money into peptide stacks and you can't afford a coach,
then we
need to have a conversation.
a problem.
Yeah, you're spending a lot of money on a weather vane before laying a foundation.
Yes. But I mean, logical inconsistency is a thread that runs through this whole conversation, right? Like, I'm sure we'll get to this at some point, but a lot of the folks who are the loudest about peptides are the same folks who are the loudest about things, being worried about seed oils, being worried about food dyes, being worried about vaccines. Like there are a lot of logical inconsistencies in this conversation. To your question, I think the first thing that I would want to know from that person is, what problem are you trying to solve? Like, why are you interested in peptides? What do you think they're going to do for you? What are you aiming to solve? And is there perhaps a longer, more boring, more time-tested, safer route to get where you're trying to go? Because there usually is. I don't know. I feel like that's question one. And then depending on how they answer that, then go from there. But like the bigger questions that are tougher to bring up with people because they get defensive when you do, but it's, how sure can you be that you are truly taking what you think you're taking if you're going to get these peptides? Like there was some reporter that went undercover and bought peptides from a Swiss Chem or some place that's like as reputable of a source as you can get in this market, and then sent them off for testing at an analytical lab. And I know two of the ones he got were BPC 157 and TB 500, and the BP 157 was contaminated with lead, and the TB 500 was contaminated with a bacterial endotoxin, which is like, in the pharmaceutical world, that's a great, big, dangerous thing. So all that to say, how sure can you be that you're taking what you think you're taking? Is there a safer way to get there? And is this molecule that you're looking at, are you looking at something that's FDA approved versus not? Because if this is somebody who's interested in the GLP-1 peptides, which they are peptides, that's a little different to me. I still have concerns about your sourcing, but I have less concern knowing that that is at least a molecule that has been FDA approved and has been found to work and be effective for people. So the conversation really is going to diverge depending on what problem they are trying to solve.
Sure.
What are the big problems people are usually trying to solve with these? I mean, I feel like I know a couple answers, but I don't. Why are people taking peptides?
I mean, I think in the fitness space, it's often for like faster recovery, better exercise performance. I think for a ton of people, it's weight loss. That's like, and aesthetics. That's probably the overwhelmingly largest reason. We also have things like melanotan, the like Barbie peptide that's supposed to deepen your tan. That's another. Look at your faces. Yes, that's that's included in people's stacks a lot of times.
You can see both of us. This has not been marketed at us.
Yeah.
No. That's the first time I've heard those words.
I've had a lot of peptides marketed at me, and that's not one of them.
Nope, there is one called melanotan that is called the Barbie peptide, and it deepens your tan. Goes up,
Wow.
like I was talking about peptides knocking on the door of the cells. It goes up to your melanin, to your skin cells, and it says, "Hey, make some melanin." And ostensibly, that's the purported action of this peptide. You have I'm a little concerned about what's going to happen to my algorithm now that I've been researching this for this conversation, because I have discovered there is what's called a date night stack, where you can take peptides to increase libido, increase bonding, increase like all of these. Yeah. There's the one, Justin, you mentioned the Wolverine stack. That one is one that's out there. Yeah, it's a fascinating world. It feels like we've landed in the future, and we are designing our perfect human by like ticking the boxes next to the characteristics that we want. The problem is they don't work, but that's a whole nother conversation.
Right. Well, I mean, what comes to mind for me as like, this is so ridiculous when we know that we have stuff like mushroom coffee and like ashwagandha and B12 and a good night's sleep and microdosing CBD or THC as options to potentially achieve all of these. And those are things that a lot of health and fitness and wellness will be like, no, you're doing it wrong.
Yeah. But I feel, and I am, to be very clear, I am stealing this from Meredith Root and Alex Parker on their podcast about peptides. They were dividing it into like wellness 1.0 and wellness 2.0, where their example of wellness 1.0 was like 15 years ago, Gwyneth Paltrow and Goop. Like, if you want to, drink bone broth and steam your vagina, fine, go ahead. You're not hurting anybody. But then wellness 2.0, now we're like co-opting this scientific language and these injectable agents, and like we've kind of taken it into another domain that's a little uncomfortable.
The part of that that's so interesting to me is that, like, we already touched on this a little bit, but like directly adjacent to peptides is so much of, call it like the big pharma, that the crunchy wellness industry is like, ew, bad, terrible, gross, toxins. While you're injecting yourself maybe with a wellness stack that includes lead. Like, yikes, my friend, toxins.
Again, like logical inconsistencies. And I don't know, I think there's also this, like you said, there's a cognitive dissonance here between, I don't want to take the things that Big Pharma tells me to take. I want to take these things over here that Big Pharma doesn't want you to know about these. Let's be clear, Big Pharma very much wants to sell you things that work and make money off of them. Like, if they thought these were agents that they could use for like therapeutic drug development, they would absolutely be doing it. And like the one specific example I have of this, so BPC 157, which I think is one of the more kind of well-known peptide agents out there, that one is made from human gastric juice. So it's a little bit different from the others in that it has a little bit more survivability in the body than the others. There are many other features to that I can get into in a minute. But as far as the relationship to Big Pharma, it was discovered by this Croatian scientist, I think back in the 90s, and he was using it to try and treat digestive conditions like ulcerative colitis and whatnot. And it actually wasn't terrible at that. There was some evidence that it might work because, again, gastric juice, like, kind of makes sense. Now, all of the research that you will find, if you go and type BPC 157 into PubMed, all of the research has this guy's name on it because he has continued to go through and like cherry pick his same data set over and over again to prove, whatever he wants to say. But a pharmaceutical company in Croatia bought it from him, and then that company was acquired by GSK, GlaxoSmithKline, which is one of the biggest, if not the biggest, pharmaceutical company in the States. Yeah. They have had it now for 30 plus years and have not commercialized it. So that tells you something. I mean, either there are significant safety concerns that are showing up, or it just doesn't work. Like, it just doesn't do anything, which is probably more likely. Or I guess the third option is they can't nail down a dose that has positive effects without also incurring risk. Because like the anecdotal evidence you hear about people injecting this stuff into their shoulders or knees or whatever to try and help their body feel better, maybe it's true. Like, maybe it really is having some kind of healing and regenerative potential. but maybe they're dosing it on something that's like an order of magnitude bigger than we would ever dose than a pharmaceutical industry would agree is safe to dose. And we don't know because we don't have a way of knowing that.
I think that's important because there's part of that conversation is like government bad, which I understand there's lots of arguments for that. And part of the argument is, well, they're keeping the good stuff from us. They don't want us to do this, or they want to wait until they can make a lot of money off of it. If we know a thing is good, we should just go do it. And to be clear, like the fitness world suffers from this a little bit. It is pretty normal for coaches to be 5 to 10 years ahead of like officially approved guidelines. Right. It is very normal. And, on social media, coaches will do a lap when something comes out saying like, oh, you should actually be walking pretty much every day. It turns out it's super important. We're like, I've been screaming this for 10 years. Yeah. And now we proved it. And you were right. Also, the potential side effects for walking, for most people, are extremely low or non-existent. They're kind of only positive. We are on the other side of the fence where you literally don't know what's in the vial. You don't, if it is what it's supposed to be, giant question mark, we still don't know what effective doses are. We know what is commonly being given out by most people, or what ratios are most commonly quote unquote prescribed, because I don't think you can actually prescribe this stuff. But it's all guinea pig work. And if and when it goes sideways, there's nothing to fall back on, because these aren't prescribed, these aren't approved, you're not supposed to be taking them. We literally have no idea.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I think even a third facet, like, are you taking what you think you're taking? Are you taking an effective amount of it? And also, are you taking a formulation that is even effective, which I think is a piece of this conversation that gets really, really dismissed, because I have so many examples and I don't know which one to start with. I think one that I say a lot is like, if oral peptides specifically, if they worked, if we saw benefit from these oral agents, we would absolutely have an oral formulation of insulin at this point for type 1 diabetics. And the reason we don't is because it doesn't work, because we were talking about peptides being protein fragments. They are not stable. They don't have the same like 3D structure of a regular protein. They're little scraps that break down really, really fast. And so part of the issue with peptides isn't necessarily that they don't do what they're claimed to do. It's that we can't find a way to package them chemically so that they get delivered and survive in the body long enough to do what they're supposed to do. So we know the oral ones are largely bullshit in that regard. But then injectables, like, there's a fascinating one. I kind of hate to even admit that this exists, but it does. There's one called MOTS-C. I don't know if you've ever heard of this. It is an exercise mimetic where you have to inject it 3 times a day because it's that unstable. But when they injected 3 times a day into elderly mice, the mice that were injected with the MOTS-C could run twice as long as their non-MOTS-C counterparts. So like, it's not that they don't work. It's that the delivery methods are
and what if the potential side effect is like, and that puts you on a 1-year heart clock?
And there are also absolutely huge relationships to brain cancer and breast cancer.
I was going to say,
the ones we know of so far. Yeah.
Oh, it makes everything like go super fast and cells multiply faster. Cancer too. Yeah. Great.
So like meth?
No, I think if I had to guess, I think it's probably like cellular respiration, like oxygen uptake kind of stuff. I think they can probably just use oxygen better. But like, no, the BPC 157, that's one of the major concerns with that one, is because, again, this stuff is pretty non-specific. If it's going to go up to your cell and knock on the door and give it a message, it's giving that message to every cell in your body. So if you're injecting this stuff into your shoulder because your shoulder hurts, it's not going to stay confined to your shoulder. It's going to go through your whole bloodstream. And one of the things that BPC 157 in particular and TB 500 can do is it stimulate angiogenesis. So like, you make new blood vessels when you inject that stuff into yourself. And that's why it helps, because, vascularity and blood flow is really good for healing injury, but also vascularity is really good at feeding tumors. So that's one of the concerns, is that we don't know, could this have cancer causing potential? Because on paper, it sure looks like it does.
You mentioned earlier that most of these things don't work. Is that is the fact that it's just not able to get and live long enough and do the things that is allegedly supposed to do a big factor in that?
Yeah, I think that's one of the biggest factors. I am a little bit less skeptical on this than some people. Like I mentioned the Tactic Nutrition podcast there. Meredith Root has a long background in biopharmaceuticals and knows much more about this than I do. And she's pretty adamant. She's like, stuff is crap. It doesn't work at all. It doesn't this, it doesn't that. I kind of have some hope that in 30 years or so, we're going to be doing some pretty cool things with peptides. Like, I think there is potential for them one day to be really impactful. I mean, GLP-1s are a great example. Like, how long have we tried to get a drug that would help benefit obesity? And now we have one, and it works great for the people who are good candidates for it. So, like, I do think there will be others down the line like that happen to take the form of a peptide, and we finally figure out how to package them in such a way that they can be delivered and survive long enough to do what they're supposed to do. I don't think they're going to necessarily be, you're not going to be able to go down the list and say, I would like to be thin and tan and toned and exercise twice as long as my counterparts and check all of the things off a list. But yes, I think a large portion of why they currently don't work is because our technology for delivering them is not yet where it needs to be. And I understand people wanting to, it's very tempting, especially when you see how much of a difference the GLP-1s make for the right people. Like, it's tempting to want to believe, oh, sure, all these other agents must be able to do exactly the same thing. And we're just not there yet. I don't know if we ever will be, but hopefully someday.
I'm curious. Let's say somebody comes to you and says, I would like to start a GLP. What comes to mind for you?
Yeah. Of course, it depends. I have that conversation a lot, actually, with folks. It's kind of surprising. Part of me doesn't love mixing GLP-1s into the conversation about gray market peptides because they're so different in terms of efficacy and, medical acceptance and all of that. But like, as far as GLP-1s, what I usually do, if somebody is coming to me as a brand new client and they're potentially interested in a GLP-1, but they're feeling hesitant, usually we'll have them go through kind of the usual protocol, I guess, of like hanging out on maintenance for a few weeks, dialing in some habits, trying a fat loss phase, seeing how that goes. It may be that once they've got some of the foundations in place that they do just fine and they really don't have as much of a struggle as they thought. Or it could be that they really do struggle and that they are not seeing results to the degree that we would expect, or that they have a huge level of food noise beyond what we would expect. I've seen that with several folks. And if that's the case, then we get to the end of that sort of fat loss attempt, and then we revisit the idea of a GLP. Like, do you still think this is something you'd like to try? Because now I'm on board, having seen kind of how you go through this process. Now I agree that I think you're a good candidate for this. Do you want to talk to your doctor about it? So that's, if somebody comes to me and they're interested, that's usually how it goes.
Yeah.
But it depends very much on the individual situation, because if they are coming to me and they are 7 pounds overweight and want to start a GLP, then the answer is absolutely not.
That's really refreshing to hear that, and this doesn't surprise me at all based on what I know of you, but like, Justin and I both take the stance of nothing is really off limits, so to speak. Like, there are some things that we can explicitly say, like, you should do that and that's not effective. And my answer to should I try blank is always like, well, what are we already doing? We don't know yet. Maybe. We don't know what we don't know yet. And so somebody brand new is coming to you for nutrition support and saying like, hey, I'm also thinking about starting a GLP. What are your thoughts on that? I've got 15 more questions that I'd like to get some data on before we decide to add another variable into the mix.
And of course, we're going to have a long conversation, probably many conversations, about all of the lifestyle factors that go into a GLP-1, because those don't become... It's not like you suddenly don't have to strength train anymore and you suddenly don't have to eat your protein and your vegetables anymore. Like, in a way, those things become even more important, because if you're going to use this very powerful tool to suppress your appetite, you have to be prepared to support your body such that you're going to get the most out of that. And so it's a fun journey. Like, I am not someone who has a tremendous amount of food noise disproportionate to appetite. And so I can't claim to understand it firsthand. But I have worked with several people who have been kind of on the fence. And when they have finally taken the plunge, they're like, oh my God, I took 2 bites of a Snickers bar and then I set it down and I didn't want any more. And it's been in my house for the last 3 days. I have never done that in my entire life. And it's just, it's really like, it's fun to get to be a part of that for somebody. And I love that these tools exist for the right person. But yeah, like you said, it's always, there are so many factors that go into it and it's always a much bigger conversation.
Well, and on that conversation of building the habits and laying the foundations and making sure all of that other, all the quote unquote, the right stuff is happening before we introduce like a GLP-1, even if it's the person is a perfect fit for it. Even if these other like gray market peptides did exactly what they said they did, they don't. Yeah. But in this mythical world where they worked, we would still need to surround them with a lot of the same good habits and practices, or it's unlikely to keep working. Like if you're in chronic pain and there's a shot that magically heals the connective tissue in your shoulder, great. It's very unlikely to be stronger now. It's very unlikely to have extra blood flow, maybe a little bit, and it's very unlikely to be protected around that joint. So shock and surprise, we probably need to do some progressive resistance training and make sure you're fueling and make sure you're recovering. And even if this was the 1% or 2% or 5% edge that it claims to be, if all that other stuff isn't happening, it's still unlikely to work. And it's so often reached for and frankly, so often sold as a magic. It's not a pill, but the magic shot. Yeah. One of the, we got a bunch of questions about this. Wheezy and I did when we asked for it. And one of the people, I'm not going to dox where they live, but they said their state is just littered with med spas, basically. They have popped up, a lot of them just in the past 18 months, 2 years. Overwhelmingly, what they do is give people peptides. You come in and they are under the umbrella of some kind of quote unquote medical supervision. I think a lot of times that means the doctor's on the phone, not in the building, but they are approved to do these things. And of course, sending people home with 4 research only peptides, but they're everywhere in the same way that you can now get Botox at your hairdressers, which is fine, whatever, but that's a relatively new development. This is just on the coattails of, oh, people will pay for this. Great. Let's do it. It's the same people who set up celery juice stands 15 years ago, but now they're giving people questionable things to inject into themselves.
Yeah. Well, and or questionable things to swallow, right? Because the people who are on, we see this, I've been complaining about this in the fitness space for a long time, that the MLM peptides of, these are for people who don't like needles, so they're only oral, but they're all natural. Your body already makes them, so it's okay. Like, I have many problems with that. So first of all, and I learned this from the Technic Nutrition podcast as well, because they're deep in the CrossFit space, and so they went into specifically the Jessica Cahoy and Amanda Barnhart MLM, and they were like, look at that. What did they say? The ingredients are brewer's yeast, fava bean peptide, which is just like ground up beans, and whey protein peptide hydrolysate. So again, whey protein, like ground up. So these are not even, so they're being marketed as these are things that you would, these are for people who don't like needles, but you wouldn't inject any of that. Like none of that is stuff that would be injected anyway. So.
Well, and it's sailing on the coattails of the misuse, or buzzword use of the word peptide. Like, yes, those are peptides. And you can swallow them. You'll be fine, most likely, as long as you can tolerate whey and beans.
Collagen is a peptide, right?
Yeah. It's not going to do anything.
Yeah. So, I mean, and I don't know if that's better or worse, because at least you're not, if you're giving somebody a pill that's full of fava beans and whey protein, like at least they're not taking lead and injecting, endotoxin, but also you are deceiving people.
Right. You're selling something on the premise that it's going to do something that it's unlikely to do.
Yeah, which is, we did a whole episode about bullies in the fitness wellness space a little while ago. And this is part of that in this, because it's not harmless. It might be physiologically harmless. Like, you're going to take this and jack shit is likely to happen. But You had a problem, you worried about it, you did a bunch of quote unquote research and searching things, you settled on this, you ponied up a bunch of money for it, it came, you took it, you felt a little different for a couple of days, and then it stopped working or was never working. And now you're set back, and now you feel like you failed yet again at a thing that is to some degree important to you, yet the newest, coolest thing that works for everybody also didn't work for you. You're probably a broken fucking failure and should just go sit in your room and stare at a wall and never go outside again.
Yeah.
And those people are being taken advantage of.
Yes, and those people are probably losing trust in, they are different systems, but those people are probably then losing trust in the medical system by proxy because I reached out for help and I didn't get help. So why would I reach out again?
Right. And I'm sure there's people, I haven't, I think we've said on this podcast that my wife is a physician. I haven't asked her if she gets asked about hormone stuff all the time, including by people who like completely unrelated, just like, will you check my hormones or can I get on this? And for some people, it's very appropriate. And for some people, they're just saying the word hormones because they hear it a lot lately. Yeah. I suspect she gets asked for peptides a lot. And I wonder how a medical professional reacts when someone asks, can you prescribe me BPC 157 or KV 66 or whatever that other one was, or all of those things?
I did look that one up. It's not that different. That one apparently is like, it's another sort of gut focused one, but like inflammation and immune function and wound healing were sort of the buzzwords that came up around that one. So I don't think it's that different from BPC. I think it would depend on the, not education, but the exposure that each individual medical professional has had to this world, because it's not the answer to can they prescribe it? No, they cannot. You cannot write for these prescriptions. There's even a whole do not compound list, like that one I mentioned before, the MOTS-C. Like, I don't know where that one is now. I don't know if that's in drug development somewhere, if somebody's trying to make something of it, but I do know that it's on the do not compound list. So like, if you are a licensed prescriber and you are willing to put your license on the line and send BPC 157 or whatever to a compounding pharmacy, you go right ahead. But like, if you do that with something like MOTS-C, it will not be made because that's on a list of things that pharmacies are not allowed to do. So at least like that much. There are slight checks and balances on some of them in that regard. But in terms of what medical professionals would say when a patient asks, I mean, I would hope they would say kind of the conversation that we're having right now, but I don't know, like the thing, and I'm sure that you two hear the same things I do. Sometimes clients come back and they relate just mind-blowing things that their medical providers have said to them. So I don't know is the answer.
Why are these things able to be given out to people so easily by like admittedly shady places? Or I think a lot of people are just ordering stuff on the internet, likely from China. But there are med spas, there are corner shops, there are aesthetic practices that have added a like health component onto their stuff. Why are they allowed to do that?
It's a phenomenal question. I mean, I do know that a part of the issue is that again, we're talking about GLP-1s again, but when GLP-1s first came out, there was a big shortage. I don't know if you remember that, because they, it was like, there's this amazing drug that really, really works and no one can get it. And so the compounding pharmacies, some of the restrictions on compounding pharmacies were loosened. This was under the Biden administration, actually, because people needed to be able to get their drugs. And so compounding pharmacies then got an additional degree of sort of leeway to compound these things and all of the associated sort of permissions that come with that. And now it's proving really difficult to walk that back. And not only is it difficult to walk back, like the Biden administration tried to walk it back, and now we have RFK, doing whatever he's doing. And so there's very little effort being made now to put the reins back on. So that's part of it, is that it's easier to get them compounded than it was before. And then, of course, as you said, these are not pharmaceutical grade products. They're coming from research labs, and they say for research use only, not for human use. And so they're like $100 or $200 a vial. They're not pharmaceutical prices at all. So they're making money hand over fist off of them.
So it really did. I didn't realize, I hadn't made that connection, how closely tied it was to GLP-1 use. Because I remember that shortage, and there was like, I knew diabetics who couldn't get their GLP-1s and were understandably pretty upset about it. And so the rules were changed so they could get made in more places in different ways. And now that door got kicked open and all kinds of stuff is running out of it.
Right. So they did manage, this again was Biden administration, they did manage to get a do not compound list that at least got some peptides and other agents put on it. But a lot of it is in fact related to that shortage. And again, I'm sure there was an impact too from the pandemic and shuts down and all of that, because it was so close together. Like, I think peptides really got big in 2021, 2022.
Yeah.
It was pretty close on the heels of COVID. So yeah, a lot of stuff happened all at once that was like short-term solutions that have now turned into long-term sort of enabling of this problem we're seeing now.
It feels a lot to me like a big pharma and the FDA don't want you to know that there's this like back alley way to health.
Well, that's a sure way to grab people's attention, right? And that's Maha. That's in a nutshell. They don't want you to know.
Right. They're keeping this from you because they don't want you to be healthy, because they want you to spend money. So instead, spend all of the money that you would spend on things like vaccines on these gray market back alley shenanigans.
Exactly. Yeah. Instead of your gym membership, just buy this this peptide from me, because I can solve all your problems. 5 things I would never buy. Talk to me from a grocery store aisle. Yes, all of that.
I know we got some questions about specific peptides, and we've talked about some of them. Are there any out there that people should take, or seems like it's probably a fine idea?
I think the ones that we've covered that are a fine idea for the right person are the GLP-1s. Those are peptides. They are effective. They are safe when you get them from an actual FDA-approved manufacturer, and they do have a really high degree of efficacy. And if you are a type 1 diabetic and you need insulin, that is another peptide that is very therapeutic and safe and works for you. And if we want to get very technical, collagen is a peptide. Whey protein is a collection of peptides. Like, a lot of things that we already consume are peptides on a molecular, structural, chemical level. If we're talking about the letters and numbers that are running around the internet, no, there are none of those that people should be taking at this point. I'm not going to shut the door and say never, because as we are presented with new information and new possibilities, we change our minds. But at this point, none of those are things you should be injecting or swallowing or wasting your money on.
And I imagine there's some people hearing this that are frustrated by hearing that, because there's also, in the same way that, GLP-1s are still jaw-droppingly expensive, right?
Yes.
There are people who would be a great fit for it, who it is literally inaccessible for. So I think there's also like a class level to this, where a lot of this gray market shit it's not cheap, but it's a lot cheaper than GLP-1s. It's a lot cheaper than most FDA approved kind of niche injectable stuff. So there's an element of, I can't get those. I don't have $1,200 a month. I do have $150 a month though. Yes. So I'm going to fucking roll the dice and give it a shot and see what happens, because my shoulders hurt for 2.5 years and I don't know what else to do. And I'm excited to hear what both of you say about this, but like, the bummer answer is we probably need to take 3 steps back and do like a lifestyle audit and an injury history audit and an exercise audit and a recovery audit, and put things together, because there's very likely a path forward, and you've been lied to and taken advantage by people who just want to make money off of you. And I hope it doesn't sound like that's what I'm doing now, because I do offer solutions like that. But don't hire me if you're listening to this. It's fine. Someone else will. Just full disclosure. But it's easy to get tunnel vision with these things and start being led down a path very deliberately built, or a funnel very deliberately built to get you to click on a subscription link for a thing that at best won't work. And we don't really know what the worst case scenario is, because we don't even know what you're putting in your body.
Yeah.
Right.
No.
I think, like, as hard as it is for people to hear, if you are advertised a silver bullet, regardless of what it's for, right? Like, hey, if your shoulder hurts, this one stretch or trigger point therapy or massage gun or super specific position will do it for you, right? Like, or an injectable or a sleep aid or insert literally anything like this. We could do Mad Libs and endlessly choose different maladies and potential solutions for them. If somebody is telling you this thing can be resolved by just this super simple, easy button fix, they are almost certainly lying to you and profiting off of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're either crazy or they know they're lying, and neither one are great people to buy from.
Mm.
Yeah. Humans really like simplicity, and people know that, and they prey on that. And I mean, I think that was insightful on your part, Justin, to mention the price point, because I do think that's part of it. I think the fact that like they're just expensive enough to kind of make you feel like you're getting a premium product, but they're not so expensive as to be cost prohibitive in the way the GLP-1s and some of these other things are. Like I do think that that's a draw in the sense of like somebody feels like they have skin in the game by spending that money, but that would be, those funds would be so much better spent on somebody like you. Ignore what he said. Please do hire him. He's really good. Like, yeah, I agree. And I mean, really, if we wanted to go really macro level on this, we could trace all of this back to like the state of education and health education in this country, and how when people get even just the most basic understanding of how their body actually works, they all of a sudden have buy-in into whatever solution you're trying to, whatever good solution you're trying to sell them. When you can explain to them why it makes sense, then all of a sudden it becomes a lot easier to be patient. Whereas the quick fix, you're exactly right. There is no such thing as a free lunch. You can't there's no silver bullet out there, but without the education and the foundation to understand that, it's very tempting to want to believe it.
Yeah, of course. And to be clear, listeners and viewers, like none of us are here saying that the healthcare system in the United States is even functional, much less good.
Yeah.
And from the top down, up down, sideways, providers are mistreated and having a bad time. Patients are mistreated and having a bad time. The only people doing pretty well are the insurance agencies, and fuck them all. Yeah. Because health insurance should not be a for-profit enterprise.
Yep.
That's the bumper sticker. Nor is the FDA perfect, but they're pretty good, and pretty good and proven is what you want to lean on, especially when you're introducing it to your bloodstream.
Yeah. Like, is this molecule FDA approved? Is it safe? Am I taking what I think I'm taking? Is it effective? Like, the FDA is not perfect, but it can at least do those things.
Yeah, those are big, big questions. What haven't we talked about? Anything you brought that you were like, these yahoos better ask me about this?
Let me see. I think I stuck most of my little nuggets in there. I learned some really interesting stuff while I was researching this. Yeah, there was a lot of name dropping on that tactic podcast, though. There was a guy apparently in Charleston, South Carolina, who kicked a lot of this stuff off, who was like a physician who he used to be like a family practice guy, and then he went down the rabbit hole of like IV drips and anti-aging and all of that. And
the Mehmet Oz path.
Yes, exactly. And started making his fortune by compounding some peptides for a group of, wait for it, CrossFitters who wanted to like enhance performance, but without substances that were banned, because at this point none of those substances were banned. They are now. But yeah, that guy then got hooked up with Huberman and went on that podcast, and we all know where that guy. Yeah. So his wait list is 6,000 patients long, and the membership to the clinic is $15,000 a year. So do with that what you will.
These
People
fucking charlatans.
A lot of money off of this stuff. Let's see.
Yeah.
That's foul.
Oh, okay. The only other little nugget that I don't think I mentioned that I thought was interesting was, again, the BPC 157. Everybody, oh, it's natural. It's produced in the human body. Your body already makes it. Turns out it has not actually been traced to any human gene. It is probably a bacterial peptide that is made by the bacteria in our gut. So that's a big old asterisk on the caveat of it's human made and it's natural and all of that. Right. Perhaps not.
Right. It's part of your flora, but that doesn't mean you made it.
It's your.
I could point at a cheeseburger and be like, "This is natural. It's in my body right now."
We live together.
At any point, I'm 1% cheeseburger.
Yes. All right. I think those were all my high points.
Yeah.
What else do you have?
Two things. One, I was wondering how many chiropractors are also quote unquote prescribing this stuff. I bet the number is pretty high. Not that I don't love chiropractors. It's just that I really don't love chiropractors. And number two, I asked Stormy if there's anything else we should talk about. And she was looking at her notes and she said something like, I think I dropped all my nuggets in it. And if you have the ability to go back and view Wheezy's face when that was said and watch her try and keep a lid on saying like, that's what she said. It was awesome.
Why? I was like, what did I say that's making them laugh like that?
It was like 15 seconds of her like spinning out, trying not to say a thing out loud.
Oh my God. I'm on a roll. I was at gymnastics class last night and I was bouncing around on the Swiss ball and I said something to Ewan about enjoying the ball or something like that. And he loses his mind and he's surrounded by, 9-year-old gymnasts. And so he can't say what he really wants to say. And so anyway.
Sure.
Yeah. So you're welcome.
Thank you. It was a great joy.
I did.
That's 100% of the success criteria is did you make Wheezy have to hold her breath trying not to laugh in the middle of somebody else's sentence?
It is worth watching because I enjoyed watching. I knew exactly what was happening. And I was like, oh, here we go.
I knew something was happening and I was trying to like preserve my train of thought and not go over here, but I did know that something was going on.
Yeah. I did a thing. Here it comes.
I had the delusion of being just coy enough that it was not noticed, but as it turns out,
not even close.
Not even close. If I'm ever in a meeting with you with my camera off, it's because I know I cannot keep it together. So that is a fact.
It's part of your charm.
Thank you. Thank you. Justin, I'm told that you have prepared a segment for us today. Do you think it's a good time for that?
I do think it's a good time for a segment. I prepared a segment for our next podcast. You were working on this one.
Shut up. I know that that's a lie because we just talked about it. I'm not going to believe your super serious face. I'm not doing it. Stormy, I texted him like 2 days ago and said, you did the segment for this episode, right? And he said, yes. And I said, great. I'm asking you because I know you well enough that if I say, Justin, should we do your segment? You will say, no, it was supposed to be yours. I know that. Don't
it actually was yours though, Wheezy, because I remember it from the DM. You were like,
I said, should we do a segment?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And he said yes, and you said, I'm on it. You literally did. Hang on, I'm gonna prove this.
Oh no, there's receipts. I didn't even go back that far. I was just fucking with Wheezy because that's
I'm not on
the only reason I remember is that I didn't know what a segment was.
It's totally cool. We have a segment.
Should we do a segment? Justin, I think, Wheezy, cool. I got it.
Well, fortunately, I know Wheezy well enough at this point that it never occurred to me for a moment she was going to get it. So I prepared a segment.
I still don't know what a segment is, so y'all are both ahead of me.
A segment it's just a part of the show, but we often end these shows with something completely different than what sometimes get to be super serious or informative or data heavy or whatever topics. It's usually a bullshit game, and this one is too.
Cool.
You're both going to play. I have titled this one, It's Gotta Be the Juice. I fell down a rabbit hole of celebrity supplement lines. So what I'm going to do is I pulled, I think, 6 specific celebrity supplements, and these are owned by these celebrities, not just endorsed. They are their companies. I'm going to tell you what it is, and I would like you to guess how much it is. Price is Right rules. Closest without going over wins.
Oh, no.
And I'm going to keep a little score here.
Great.
So, any questions about the game?
No questions. Proceed.
Great. I do have a little bit of information on all of them if you have questions. All right. It's got to be the juice. Starting with the Kourtney Kardashian Lemmy gummy supplement line. Lemmy as in let me, but one word, Lemme. We have some creatine gummies. 16 gummies per container. 4 gummies are one serving. So 4 gummies equal 5 grams of creatine. So this is
So it's
15
4
servings.
servings? Oh,
It's-
okay.
It's 15 servings because it's there's 60 gummies in a container, but you need 4
I
to
heard
equal 1 serving.
16.
I also heard 16.
Sorry.
I was like, you're going to buy
Thank you for
4
correcting.
days?
60 gummies per container, 4 per serving. How much is it?
For 2 weeks worth of creatine.
For 15 days of creatine. I bet it is $32.
Oh, please. No. I'm going to go with $74.
You've both gone over. It's $24.
What?
Okay, good.
$24 for
Oh,
15
What a
days.
deal.
Yeah, not really, but
I mean, it's
you know,
not.
Well, Kardashian. Okay. All right.
I
Wow.
expected worse too. Interestingly enough, you guys might know this. I only recently learned that overwhelmingly the gummy supplements, the way they work is the shit is sprayed on the outside of them. It's not
Mhm.
actually mixed in the gummy because
Yep.
that's really hard to do, and the gummy gets unstable, and the gummy won't stay together the way it's supposed to. So what they do is they spray the stuff on the outside of it, but because of the way stuff is packaged and moves around, that actually often the dosage is all over the fucking place by the time you get the gummies because it's just sprayed on the outside of it. And I think that's true for almost anything that is a quote unquote gummy supplement. Wheezy, I see your face. Careful out
This is
there.
ruining my day. This is ruining my day.
He's right, though. I had to have that. Our mutual friend, I had to have that conversation with her at one point. That gummies are not super reliable in terms of
no.
it tastes good, though.
Can I tell a story?
Please
This
tell
doesn't
a
seem to be
story.
the venue for that.
Great. Well, I'm going to tell a story and you can edit it out later if you want. So I bought watermelon creatine gummies at Costco because I sampled them and I thought they were delicious. And Ted Shoemaker, my incredible husband, does not like the flavor of artificial watermelon. So I bought these only for me. Like these are now mine. You're not going to have any, right? He went to go have some a couple of days ago, and I hear him from the other room like open it and look at it and go, "Watermelon." And I said in what I thought was very clear vernacular, it was either watermelon or pass. Like it was watermelon or nothing. And he heard it was either watermelon or ass, like ass flavored.
Those Gen Z gummies.
Right. And so now it's become like kind of a verbal stim in our house to be like, yeah, they were out of ass flavored, so I got watermelon instead. Like, you got chocolate milk? Yeah, they were out of ass flavor. I don't know.
Moving on
Yeah.
to our next celebrity supplement. At this rate, it's only going to be a 90-minute segment. It's fine. We have Mark Wahlberg's performance-inspired line. This is a quote-unquote test booster. Maybe of note, there's lots of test booster supplements out there. They're not allowed to say testosterone booster because it definitely doesn't do that. They're implying it, but it's a test booster. What does that mean? I do have a short list of what's in this stuff. They are tablets. You get a serving is 4 tablets. Annoyingly, there's 30 per container. So you're getting 7.5 servings per container, which,
You have
come
to
on,
buy
Mark,
more
like
than
throw in the other 2 at least. At least make it 8 servings or 7. Or so. What are you doing?
Mhm.
I'm happy if you have questions, I can tell you what's in it. I do have an ingredient list, but I want to know how much test booster is from Mr. Marky Mark.
A bottle of, say again, 28, 30?
It's
30.
30 tablets at 4
30
per
tablets.
serving.
Are they in a bottle or are they shrink wrapped?
I believe they're in a plastic. It looked like a plastic bottle.
Mm.
I like that weighed into your deliberations.
Well, I think of a bottle as being more expensive.
I don't know. I feel like one of my own most expensive supplement adventures has been with Sammy, and those are individually packaged in blister packs, like $1 a pill or something. So I think those are expensive. But okay, Mark Wahlberg. So bottle of 30 test booster.
My answer is the same, which is $32.
I was gonna say $59.99.
Wheezy gets it. It's $35.
Nice.
Yay! Whee!
Briefly, in this test booster, it's vitamin D, B6, calcium, magnesium, zinc, ashwagandha root extract, diindolylmethane proprietary blend. Proprietary blends are always
Proprietary blend.
Yeah.
Whatever shit we felt like putting in it.
Exactly. And some fenugreek extract. Yeah.
Okay.
Next, we have Venus Williams Happy Viking meal replacement line. So these are meal replacement shakes sold in, you get a box of them, kind of metrics if anyone ever had those. And you get each packet is a shake. You mix it with whatever you want. You get 15 servings in a box. If it's useful, it's a 240 calories, 30 grams of plant protein, 16 carbs, 8 grams of fat. A very long list of quote unquote superfoods with no dosage, and they don't show up in the nutrition label, which makes me think that almost all of those superfoods are in trace doses.
Yeah.
Like they showed it a picture of acai and moved on.
Okay. Price we're guessing is for how many shakes?
15 shakes, 15.
All right.
I would like to guess $39.95.
I know I keep getting it wrong by going over, but I feel like it's got to be more than that. Because if a Fairlife flat of 18 at Costco is like $40 now.
But this one you have to mix yourself.
But it's got all of the traces
It's got all the superfoods.
So it's a very long list.
$79.95.
You were right that it's a lot more than Wheezy said, but you went over. So Wheezy gets it. It is $60. 60, $4 a serving.
That's crazy. That's madness. If I'm paying $4 for a serving, it needs to be pre-mixed. I am not spending that amount of money to shake a shaker bottle. Get out of here, peasants.
It's also like as a meal replacement, just like it's kind of shit because it's only 240 calories and like a not teeny tiny amount of fat in this. So it's actually not particularly good for like a workout shake for most people. Like it's not ideal digestion, but it's not enough calories to be a meal for most people. This might be a fine snack. I guess that would like this is probably a fine snack. Like pretty high protein. We're not scared of carbs. We have a little bit of fat. Like afternoon snack stuff. Sure. I could see that, but like as a meal replacement, I would need 5 of these things.
Well, and it would probably, if it's going to be a snack, it would probably taste better if you could chew it. I don't know. I feel like for snacks, I'm not going to reach for a
shake.
Liquid.
Yeah.
Next, we have from TB12 Nutrition, Tom Brady's company.
Of course.
Interestingly, I didn't know this until I had already fallen down this celebrity nutrition rabbit hole. His nutrition stuff is Noble brand. So there's some agreement there, but it's Noble, the shoe company, you know, the people you want making your supplements, the shoe company. Noble is doing TB12 supplements and they're branded Noble. I don't know how the contracts work out, but it is. So either way, it's TB12 or Noble Nutrition. These are electrolyte sticks. Everyone knows these, very popular, 15 calories, 500 milligrams of potassium. Also funny ingredient note, 500 milligrams of sodium. And then on a separate listing in the nutrition label, aside from like USDA doses, it notes that it has 750 grams of pink Himalayan salt. That means that 750 grams of pink Himalayan salt only gets you 500 milligrams of sodium. So I don't know what the other 250 milligrams are, but it's something.
Dust.
Yeah.
Electrolytes now with granite powder.
Exactly. We have 15 servings again. 15 servings of TB12 Noble electrolyte sticks.
This is $31.
$19.99.
Stormy gets it. $25.
Nice.
Which is expensive for salt, but not crazy expensive for supplements.
Well, expensive for salt, not expensive for granite.
Sure. Yeah.
Discount granite.
Right.
We've got 2 more and a tiebreaker. We have Ladder, co-owned by LeBron James and Arnold Schwarzenegger. Ladder Supplement Company. We have a plant protein for muscle gain. which also includes 26 grams of plant protein. It also has 7 grams of BCAAs, 14 grams of EAAs, and 2 billion with a B CFU probiotics.
This is going to make you shit your pants.
Possibly.
We should try.
Could be. We again have 15 servings.
Oh, boy.
Like a giant tub with 15 servings in it.
I think they might be individually packaged packets. I didn't save a picture of this one, but I think
gonna
it's
drag the
another
price
like
up.
peel it,
Mhm.
dump it thing.
15. I bet this is $46.
We're like right in the ballpark.
Yeah.
I was right there until you said individually packaged, and now I'm thinking maybe they jacked the price up because of the
Yeah.
individual packaging.
Because you can throw one in your gym bag that explodes later when you put your shoes in your
Right.
bag.
You said 46. I'm going to say 47.
Whew. Stormy gets it
Ooh.
$75.
Whoa!
What?
$5 a serving.
Yo.
Friends.
If it's not a...
That's gross.
It's sort of like a pink tax, but in reverse. Why is the Venus
Yeah.
Williams meal way down here and then the LeBron James is up here?
Because this one will make you strong.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
It's LeBron and Arnold, who, you'll turn into something. It'll make you something. Like they're both
It'll definitely make you
strong in
something.
very different ways. Last one, and I do have a tiebreaker if we need it. Previously mentioned Gwyneth Paltrow's Goop line. They have a supplement line, which is called Wellbell. All one word, spelled funny. Welbell, I think. Wellbell. This is simply titled Women. And it is, I
Women in a
promise you,
bottle?
I fucking promise these pills are called Women. You're buying Women from Goop.
In a bottle.
Women by Goop.
It is indicated for skin, hair, and nails, a daily supplement for 45 women 45 years and older. Very specifically targeted. Skin, hair, nails, 45 years and older women. I do have a list of the stuff that's in it, if that's useful.
Yes.
We have 30 per container. A serving is 3. So we have 10 servings of this stuff.
Women.
Let me know if
Yeah,
you want
what
to know
is
what's
in
in
it?
it.
It's gotta
I
be
do want to
We
know
have-
what's in it.
Vitamin A. A bunch of these have the parenthetical as so-and-so. So like vitamin A is actually beta carotene,
Carotene.
which yes, but it's vitamin A. So vitamin A, vitamin D, folate, B12, biotin,
Is it
zinc,
methylfolate?
selenium.
Good question.
Is it methylfolate or is it folic acid?
I bet you it's
Folate, parentheses, OS calcium L-5 dot methyl tetrahydrofolate.
Oh.
that's a clue. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
B12, biotin, zinc, selenium, and copper.
For
said
10 days worth.
Yeah, 10 days worth.
10 days, 10 servings. It says daily supplement, so I'm hoping you take it once a day, maybe twice a day. I didn't read that part.
So it's 30 pills in a bottle.
30 pills per container.
I bet it is $49.95.
I don't think it's quite that much. I'm going to say 32.
Wheezy gets it. It is $72.
What
In
the fuck?
serving.
Insane.
Because that's Gwyneth.
I mean,
Wow.
to me, like I thought for sure it would be ridiculously expensive because so many things that are targeted for like postmenopausal women are jacked up in price because they're like, we know that you don't have other options.
But like 10 days worth. That's appalling.
$7.20 per serving.
Just give up your daily
shipping.
Starbucks.
Yeah. You can have avocado toast or women.
Or women.
In a bottle.
Wheezy takes it. Wheezy gets the it's got to be the juice. Would you like to
Nice.
hear my tiebreaker? Because I thought it was amusing.
Of course.
Sure.
I took a left at celebrity supplements and dove down the rabbit hole of celebrity liquors and found there were lots of celebrity tequilas I knew about. There's also a lot of celebrity gins, and I knew less about this. So I have 4 celebrity gins. I would like you to try and put them in correct order of how expensive they are. let's say from least expensive to most expensive.
Okay.
There's only
Got
4.
it.
We have Margot Robbie's Papa Salt Coastal Gin. We have Gordon Ramsay's Gin. We have Snoop Dogg's Indoggo. And we have Emma Watson's Renee Gin. So Margot
Emma
Robbie.
Watson is a gin?
So many people have gins. This is a very incomplete list of celebrities that
Wow.
have gins.
All right.
But Margot Robbie, Gordon Ramsay, Snoop Dogg, and Emma Watson.
I bet Snoop's is the cheapest.
I think so too.
Then
Then Emma, then Margot, then Gordon Ramsay at the top.
I think Margot's probably at the top. But everything else.
What do you mean by everything else? Because it's different. So you
So-
need to tell me what you're talking about.
Yes, sure. I think Snoop, Emma, Margot, no, Ramsay, Margot.
Stormy, 4 for 4. Snoop Dogg's
Wow.
Indoggo is $28. Emma Watson's gin is $50. Margot Robbie's is $80, and Gordon Ramsay's gin is $150 a bottle.
Yo.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Crazy.
Gordon Ramsay's gin also comes in a slightly smaller bottle, so you actually get a little less gin for all your money.
Yeah.
If you haven't, this has nothing to do with gin, but if you haven't watched the segment with Margot Robbie on Ellen shortly after the Barbie movie came out, go watch it because you will laugh and then you will watch it again. That's all I know about Margot Robbie is that she was on Ellen and I found her very funny.
Okay. There it is. A career encapsulated
Heard.
to a couple minutes
Great.
speaking to a miserable person.
Yes.
I remember
I'm
when
kind of shit. Fuck.
I'm sorry.
I
Lizzie.
had no idea. That when it broke that she was terrible, that is when I discovered that.
I
So
don't think I
she-
ever
her-
paid much attention one way or the
her-
other. But sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I never paid much attention to Ellen one way or the other, but the Margot Robbie snippet popped up for me after the Barbie movie hit big. There's a hilarious, and Ellen's not really. I mean, Ellen happens to be sitting there while Margot Robbie's telling the story, but really Margot Robbie has the floor as she's telling this 2.5-minute story about her honeymoon, and it is worth a watch.
I mean, the good news is that Ellen's behavior is the worst and darkest secret the entertainment industry ever had or kept from anyone. So that's the only bad thing. Everything else is good. Certainly don't look into
Yeah.
parody, satire, parody.
Don't cancel Justin. He is joking in case you can't read sarcasm.
Parody, satire. Everyone's cool and good and should be
I-
allowed
I was
around
going
other
to say,
people.
I'm kind of disappointed that Ryan Reynolds' gin did not make your list.
I thought it was kind of too well known, honestly. I mean, that's one of the more
Sure.
well-known gins, the Aviation.
Sure.
I did read a story yesterday or today that Aviation Gin, actually their stock took a big hit, or maybe just I don't know if they're a public company or not, but their company took a big hit because of the Blake Lively, Justin What's-His-Nuts scandal. And
Yeah.
that was so damaging that it also damaged everything both of them touched. And
Yeah.
the marketing had to be rethought for Aviation Gin because of this thing.
That's so
Okay.
unfortunate because the more that I read
Sucks.
about that, it's like she actually didn't do anything wrong.
And yet everyone's careers are in tatters because people like gossiping and being mean to women.
I'm so out of I don't even know what happened. I don't need to know.
It's
Yeah,
not.
you don't need to know.
You're
It's
not
slop.
digging into that. Not a chance.
I don't.
No,
It's
no.
yeah.
No, you're not missing out. Well,
No,
sorry, Ryan Reynolds, you took a hit and you didn't make our podcast. So
Sorry, but
bummer.
maybe
Sorry,
return
bud.
a phone call next time. Maybe we'll let you on the list. I'm just saying.
That feels like a good place to close. What do we think?
Yeah, let's do it.
Team, this has been Training Partners. I'm Wheezy Shoemaker. That's Justin McClintock. Stormy Weather signing off. We will see you next time.
Thanks, gang.
It's time
Thanks for having me.
for the training partners. Here come your training partners. So smart, so strong, so funny. Let's go with your training partners. We're ready to laugh and learn with our new best friends. So your training partners. We're ready to shine.